My friend, reality is not as rigid as the world would have you believe. You are not bound by a fixed existence, moving helplessly along a predetermined path. No, you are the operant power, the creator, the dreamer, awakening within the dream. You shift between realities as effortlessly as you breathe, though you may not yet recognize it. Have you ever felt that something in your world is slightly different, yet you cannot put your finger on it? Have you experienced moments where your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner shift? The world you experience is not separate from you, it is you, externalized. Every man walks in a world made by his own assumptions, and when those assumptions change, the world he inhabits must change to reflect them. You have been told that reality is fixed, that what you see, hear, and touch exists outside of you, independent of your awareness. But I say to you, nothing exists outside of consciousness. It is your state of being that determines the world in which you dwell. If you have shifted to a parallel reality, it is because your consciousness has moved into a new state, and the outer world must obey. Consider the moments when things feel strangely different, though nothing obvious has changed. You walk into a familiar place, yet there is something about it that feels new, unfamiliar, almost as if you have never been there before. The people around you seem to respond to you in a way they never did before, treating you with a new level of respect, admiration, or even indifference. It is not they who have changed, but you are no longer the same person who once occupied the previous state, and because your identity has shifted, so too has the world you inhabit. Sure. Perhaps you have desired a change, more wealth, better relationships, greater health. You have imagined yourself already in possession of these things, feeling as though they were yours in the present moment. And then, suddenly, your environment begins to reflect this assumption. People who once doubted you now believe in you. Opportunities present themselves effortlessly. Money flows in from unexpected places. You are not witnessing random chance, nor is this a mere coincidence. You have shifted into a reality where that which you once longed for is now natural and expected. Your outer world has conformed to the new self you have assumed. The world is a mirror, reflecting back to you only what you hold within. If you feel unworthy, the world will show you proof of your unworthiness. If you feel abundant, abundance will appear effortlessly. It is not the world that dictates your experience. It is your inner state that determines the world you see. And when that state changes, when you fully accept a new belief, a new identity, a new assumption as true, the world must rearrange itself to align with that truth. You will look around and realize that people treat you differently, that circumstances unfold in ways they never did before, and yet you will find no logical explanation, for the shift has occurred not in the world, but in you. Many do not recognize this shift because they expect a grand spectacle, a visible rupture in reality, a dramatic tearing of the veil. But reality does not announce its transformation with fanfare. It changes in the stillness, in the unnoticed moments, in the subtle shifts of experience. One day you wake up and the world simply feels different, not because it has changed, but because you have. So if you find yourself noticing that life is unfolding in new and unexpected ways, if the same people now treat you differently, if your circumstances have altered without a clear explanation, know that you have shifted. You are no longer living in the same world you once knew. You have stepped into a new reality, not by force, but by the quiet movement of your consciousness. This is the great secret. You do not move through space and time. Space and time move through you, adjusting to the assumption you hold of yourself. Your outer world is the echo of your inner shift. When you claim a new identity, when you assume a new reality as true, the world must yield. And when it does, you will know you have already arrived. There are moments in life when you pause, feeling an unshakable sense that something is different. You look around and everything appears the same, yet beneath the surface there is an unfamiliar quality to it all. The people you know, the places you frequent, even your own memories seem slightly altered. It is not that the world has changed randomly. It is that you have shifted into a different state of consciousness, and with that shift you have entered a new reality. One of the surest signs of this transition is when your memories begin to feel out of place. as though they belong to another version of you, another timeline, another existence entirely. Perhaps you recall an event with perfect clarity, only to have someone else insist it never happened. You might find yourself remembering a conversation in vivid detail, yet the person you spoke to has no recollection of it at all. It may even be something as simple as a small detail, an object in your home appearing in a different spot than where you left it, a song lyric that sounds different from the way you remember, or a childhood memory that no one else seems to share. These are not lapses in your mind, nor are they tricks of perception. They are signs that you have stepped into a parallel reality where the past is not what it once was. The world you experience is a projection of your inner consciousness, and when your state of being shifts, so does the version of reality you perceive. Your memories, which seem so solid and unchangeable, are merely reflections of the state you once occupied. But when you transition into a new reality, certain memories may no longer align with the present world, because you are no longer the same version of yourself who once held them. This is why people recall different versions of the same event, why something you once knew to be true may no longer hold in your current world. Some call this the Mandela effect, the sensation of remembering something that contradicts the collective reality. But what if this phenomenon is not an illusion at all? What if it is evidence that you are constantly moving between realities, shifting timelines, adjusting your past as effortlessly as you alter your future? You are not bound to one single path, nor are your memories set in stone. They are fluid, reshaping themselves to fit the reality you now inhabit. Perhaps you have wished for a change in your life, more success, a different relationship, a new beginning. And then, without fully realizing it, you wake up one morning and sense that something has shifted. The faces of those around you seem slightly different. The energy of your environment no longer carries the same weight it once did. You may feel disconnected from certain experiences, as if they happened to someone else. And in a way, they did. The version of you who struggled, who longed, who waited, he no longer exists in this reality. You have stepped into a new version of yourself. And as a result, your past has shifted to match. Do not fear these subtle changes. Do not resist the sense that your memories are not as fixed as you once believed. Instead, embrace them as signs that you are evolving, moving closer to the life you have desired. The more you align with the reality you seek, the more the past will rearrange itself to confirm that you have always been on this path. What once seemed strange will become natural. What once felt out of reach will become effortless. And in time you will look back and wonder how you ever doubted that you had shifted realities all along. There comes a moment when the things you once struggled to attain begin arriving effortlessly, almost as if they were meant to be there all along. The effort, the striving, the endless pursuit suddenly vanish, and what you desired simply appears. It is not coincidence, nor is it mere luck. It is a sign that you have shifted into a reality where your wish is already fulfilled. You have become the version of yourself who naturally possesses what you once sought, and the world has no choice but to reflect that truth. For most of your life, you may have believed that success, love, or abundance required struggle. You were taught that effort was the price of achievement, that persistence was the only path to receiving what you wanted. But what if all along the only thing that needed to change was your state of being? The moment you assume the feeling of already having, the need to chase disappears. You no longer act as one who hopes or longs. You simply move through life as one who already is. And when that shift happens within, the outer world conforms instantly. Think back to times in your life when something you deeply desired seemed impossible, yet somehow, without warning, it found its way to you. You may have wanted a specific job, only to find that the perfect opportunity appeared when you least expected it. Perhaps you longed for love, and the right person entered your life in a way you could never have planned. Maybe you struggled for financial stability, but the moment you stopped worrying, the money came effortlessly from an unexpected source. For what? These are not accidents. They are signs that you moved into a state where your desire was no longer something separate from you, it was already yours. And you're not in a must. Count your want. The struggle exists only when you believe that what you want is apart from you, when you see yourself as lacking. When you chase after something outside of you, you affirm its absence. But the instant you assume the state of the one who already possesses, the need to fight dissolves, and the outer world simply delivers. What you have accepted is true. This is the nature of shifting realities. You are never forcing things to happen. You are merely stepping into the version of yourself for whom they have already. Notice how the people around you begin to treat you differently when you shift into this new state. Perhaps they once overlooked you, dismissed you, or doubted your abilities. But now, without explanation, they recognize you as someone of value. You have not changed physically, rather, you have changed in consciousness. And the world is simply responding. Opportunities that once eluded you now seek you out. Doors that once remained shut open with ease. The effort you once believed was necessary is no longer required because you are no longer striving to become, you are being. This is the great secret. The outer world is only a reflection of the inner. When you see things beginning to flow effortlessly, when what you once desired arrives without force, when the struggle disappears, you can know with certainty you have shifted. You are no longer living in the reality where effort was required, where things were difficult to attain. You have entered a world where ease, abundance, and fulfillment are natural. If you find yourself in this state, do not question it. Do not wonder why things have become easier, why what you want now seems to come without resistance. Simply accept it. Walk in the knowing that you have entered the reality where all things are already yours. The moment you believe it, the world will continue to prove it true. There comes a time when the world begins speaking to you in ways you never noticed before. The right words appear at the perfect moment, as if whispered by an unseen force. A song plays with lyrics that mirror the very thoughts you just had. Numbers repeat themselves wherever you look. 111, 222, 333. Each sequence feeling like a secret message. You meet a stranger who casually mentions the very thing you were contemplating earlier that day. These are not coincidences. They are synchronicities, signs that you have shifted into a new reality where your desires are aligning with your experience. The world is alive, responding to you at every moment, reflecting the state of consciousness you occupy. The more aligned you are with your new reality, the more these signs appear, guiding you, reassuring you that you are on the right path. Synchronicities are echoes of your inner shift, proof that your new state of being is taking form in the outer world. They are reminders that you have stepped into a timeline where what you seek is already unfolding. Perhaps you have noticed that certain symbols keep appearing in your life. A name that holds meaning for you repeats itself in unexpected places. You dream of something only to encounter it the next day in waking life. Animals cross your path in ways that feel intentional. A butterfly lands near you during a moment of deep contemplation. A bird sings outside your window as you make an important decision. These are not random occurrences. They are the language of the unseen, the universe confirming that you have entered a new state of consciousness. You may even find that people around you begin mirroring your inner world in striking ways. They unknowingly voice your private thoughts, speak the very words you needed to hear, or offer help before you even ask. These interactions are not mere chance, but manifestations of the reality you have stepped into. The world is showing you that you are in sync with your desires, that your new state of being is solidifying. And then there are moments when time itself feels different. You might experience deja vu more frequently, as if you have lived a moment before. Time may seem to stretch or contract. Hours pass in an instant, or a single minute feels impossibly long. These distortions in time are indications that you are no longer bound by the rigid structure of your previous reality. You have moved into a new timeline, and your perception is adjusting to the shift. What once felt like obstacles now feel like stepping stones. The very things that used to block you now work in your favor. It is as if the world is conspiring on your behalf, arranging circumstances with a precision that cannot be explained by logic alone. The right opportunities appear effortlessly. The answers you seek present themselves without struggle. Life moves with a flow that feels almost magical because you have surrendered the need to force and have instead allowed yourself to receive. If you find yourself encountering these synchronicities, trust them. They are not meaningless. They are signals that you have moved into alignment with the reality you have imagined. They are the universe's way of nodding in agreement, affirming that your new state of consciousness is becoming the dominant one. The more you recognize and appreciate these signs, the more they will appear, reinforcing your shift. You are not separate from the reality you wish to experience. You are already living in it, and these synchronicities are evidence of that truth. Do not question them. Do not dismiss them as mere chance. Instead, embrace them as proof that you have stepped into a parallel reality where everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The world is speaking. Listen and know that you have arrived. There are moments when you feel an unshakable certainty deep within, though there is no logical proof to justify it. You sense that something has shifted, that you are no longer who you once were, that life is unfolding in a new and unfamiliar way. You may not be able to explain it, yet the feeling is undeniable. This deep inner knowing is one of the clearest signs that you have transitioned into a parallel reality. It does not come with flashing lights or dramatic fanfare, but with a quiet, steady assurance that something fundamental has changed. Your mind may search for evidence, attempting to rationalize what you feel, but logic cannot fully grasp what the soul already understands. You simply know. The way people look at you, the way opportunities arise, the way life flows, it all feels different, as if you have stepped into a version of yourself where things are easier, where struggles you once carried have dissolved, where you now embody the person you always wished to be. This knowing is not imagination, it is recognition. You are seeing the world through the eyes of a new self, a self that already exists in this reality. Perhaps you have had the experience of waking up one morning and feeling lighter, as if an unseen burden has been lifted from you. The worries that once consumed you seem distant, almost foreign. The fears that used to control your actions no longer hold power. You walk through your day with an effortless confidence, not because of anything external, but because something within you has shifted. The world may look the same, but it does not feel the same. The air carries a different energy. The familiar places around you seem to have a new vibrance, and interactions with others feel subtly transformed. This shift does not require external validation. You do not need anyone to confirm it for you because the confirmation is already within. You may find yourself trying to explain this change to others, yet words fail to capture it. They may not understand because they have not yet shifted into the reality you now occupy, but that does not matter. Their awareness is not required for your transformation to be real. The more you trust this inner knowing, the more the world will reshape itself to reflect your new state. You will notice synchronicities aligning perfectly with your thoughts. You will see signs confirming what you have already felt to be true. You will attract experiences that match the version of yourself you have stepped into. And through it all, you will not be surprised because deep down, you knew it was meant to happen. You knew it was already yours. This is how reality works. Not through struggle, not through force, but through belief. When you assume a new state of being, when you accept yourself as already living in the reality you desire, the shift is instant. Your senses may take time to catch up, but the change has already occurred. The feeling of deep certainty is the first evidence that you have arrived. And as you hold firm in that knowing, the world will move to match it. There is no need to question, no need to seek reassurance. The moment you feel the shift, trust it. Do not let doubt creep in, for doubt belongs to the old self, the one you have left behind. Walk forward in full confidence, knowing that you have already become the person you intended to be. The more you lean into this certainty, the faster your new reality will solidify around you. If you find yourself sensing without reason that your life has changed, do not ignore it. It is not a passing thought or a fleeting illusion. It is truth revealing itself before your eyes. You have shifted. You are already living in the world you once longed for. All that remains is for you to embrace it completely.